Welcome to the Backdoor Fantasy Sports Podcast with Russo and Jordy.
What's up, guys? We got one in the books. Pretty exciting game last night. A little bit of weirdness to it for fantasy implications. We're going to break all that down in our recap. On today's episode, we're going to go over the Thursday Night Football recap. We're going to do a preview of tonight's game. We're going to break down the entire Sunday slate. And we're also going to talk about DraftKings. We both made a lineup that we're going to share, break down each of our lineups and why we like the players, cover matchups, budget, and whatnot. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave us a comment. Let us know what you're excited about, what you're getting into this weekend. This is our fantasy football show. We also have a picks show that's just all player props. If you guys want to check that out, just make sure you're subscribed. We already have a video up for all of our favorite prize picks and underdog player props for tonight's game. So let's talk about underdog real quick because they're running all sorts of specials. They've been going crazy all week, and the fun just continues all the way up until Monday Night Football. It may go a little bit further than that, but when I looked at the calendar, I think they're doing specials all the way up until Monday Night Football. So if you haven't signed up for Underdog yet, use code BACKDOOR or go through the link in the description. And they're going to give you a free pick just for signing up. And then they're also going to give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash with your first deposit. So definitely take advantage of that. And let's talk a little bit about last night's game.
Let's do it. So, I think ripping off a Band-Aid here, I think, one of the craziest parts of it was how little Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce were actually involved. It seems like they're kind of, moving forward in both of their offenses. I think, with the Chiefs, they've obviously got a lot of things to be excited about with Xavier Worthy. That guy looks super fast. That was crazy. But for the main part I wanted to cover, because I am a Mark Andrews and an Isaiah Likely owner, as I think most people who own Mark Andrews probably are. That handcuff didn't cost too much. I had actually dropped him last year, and then Mark Andrews got hurt, and I had to dump my entire fab wallet on him. I think I dropped 135 fab on him, and I was like, I can't believe I even did that. I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, last night, man, wow. I think we're seeing a new era for the Ravens. It might be a little early to say, but leaving 30 fantasy points on the bench kind of feels horrible. But Likely just had a coming out performance there that was pretty wild. He definitely. It looks like one of those situations where maybe Mark Andrews is kind of, slowly getting eclipsed, and they're just moving into a new era. I guess we'll just have to see, but it.
You don't want to obviously you don't want to jump to conclusions off of one game,
right?
But Likely looked so good.
Yeah, he did.
That was what was shocking is Mark Andrews did not look 100%. He looked slow out there. He had that catch where he fell in a crucial moment. And we've been big fans of Mark Andrews for a long time.
Yeah.
But it just looked like the writing was on the wall last night. I don't know. If I had to make a bet, I would say that Likely is the new tight end one there.
It looks that way. Yeah.
And it's just one game, so you don't know. I don't think that Mark Andrews is just going to go away. I think they'll keep using him, but I think that I don't know how you don't just have him play behind Likely at this point.
Yeah.
Because Likely was the most important weapon they had last night.
Oh yeah.
And it was interesting because I was not expecting the type of usage for Derrick Henry that we saw last night. I understand that it was a difficult matchup for the run game, but their offense it looked panicky. I know their offensive line, they have a lot to work out, and I know John Harbaugh is good about fixing stuff like that. I know Hayden Winks was kind of talking about that before. Earlier this week, I was listening to Josh and Hayden on Underdog, and he was talking about how their offensive line has really taken a hit, and John Harbaugh is good about fixing stuff like that, but he's just, at least Hayden didn't seem convinced that it's going to be something that's easy to work out, and I think we saw that last night.
Yeah.
you can't sustain Lamar Jackson playing like that. It's exciting, to see what he's capable of doing, but he's not going to survive a season playing like that. Like,
Yeah, it was hard, and they were trying so many different things. Like the way they were trying to use Zay Flowers last night kind of, said it all to me. He's a very undersized receiver. He's if you're a Zay Flowers owner, you got to be excited because they were using him like Deebo Samuel last night, like jet sweeps, hiding him behind the line. They were throwing him deep. They were giving him comebacks. And I think his whole route tree was open last night. So really exciting if you're a Zay Flowers owner, but kind of depressing if you're a Ravens fan because it just looked very chaotic and like they didn't really have an identity yet. Their first 2 possessions to me looked like the best possessions in the entire game. They ran the ball well. They looked very poised. They kind of had the Chiefs rattled in the first couple possessions there. They got a stop, and it was like, okay, we're off to a good start. Sorry, someone's calling me. We're off to a good start. And, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. Derrick Henry, I don't know if he's just not in quite playing shape yet or what it may be, but he looked kind of slow coming into the next part. But they didn't really give him a whole lot of opportunities. Coming from Tennessee, they were feeding him all the time, and they were putting him about 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage and letting him just scream downhill. So I think they just have some things to work out with Derrick Henry's usage. I think you can be definitely excited if you're a Justice Hill owner because they used him, I think, maybe even a little bit more than Derrick Henry last night.
Yeah, we were talking about that during the game. It's like I was sitting there thinking like I feel like Justice Hill has outsnapped Derrick Henry in this game, and we have John Harbaugh all off season preaching about how Justice Hill is an RB1, and so it's like I don't know. That's the way it just seemed like a running back by committee approach. And I know that it's not always going to be that way. Derrick Henry's going to have his games, but when they were able to utilize like the RPO with Henry and Lamar, it looked solid. Like even while we were watching, I had moments where I was like, oh, Henry's got the ball, and it's like actually no, Lamar still has the ball. Like it's very convincing. So I'm sure they'll work all that out. I don't think that they brought in Derrick Henry to be the number 2 behind Justice Hill.
Yeah, he definitely outsnapped him. Justice Hill had 54%. Derrick Henry had 46%. Maybe it's a committee. I mean, it looks like it could work. There was times they needed Justice Hill. Obviously, on that last possession, you're not going to have Derrick Henry trying to fly down the field. He's just not that kind of player. But
the scheme of the game definitely led to some of that, I'm sure, because when they're playing from behind and they're having trouble, like I don't know. It was, all that being said, the Ravens did not look great last night at all. They looked like they were struggling, and the Chiefs looked good, but it was a close game. They almost tied it at the end, So maybe we're overreacting a little bit because they almost sent that to overtime, or if they were going to go for 2, which we were like yelling not to. But yeah, we'll see how that all plays out. But I think the main takeaway here for fantasy implications is Isaiah Likely is going to be, if he's on anyone's waiver wires, you need to go grab him now.
Oh, yeah. Justice Hill, too.
Yeah, Justice Hill, too. Because if they're in situations where they're playing from behind, I just, the usage of Justice Hill was working.
Yeah.
It's just, we just want to see Derrick Henry be a bell cow, obviously, for fantasy.
Yeah, they brought him in for all the passing work, too. And I want to see Derrick Henry get involved in some screens. Like the Titans were doing that in the last year. They were getting him out in space with a guy in front of him, and it looked great. So it's like maybe they can figure that out. They've got 2 really big tight ends, and Likely and Andrews, who can move well. So maybe that becomes a thing. But
yeah, and Justice Hill did play great as a pass catcher.
Yeah, he did.
It's kind of tough to implement Derrick that way when you've got someone so much faster. But we're gonna see how these guys, they're gonna figure it out. It's really just that offensive line. Once they get that worked out, there was a lot of positive takeaways in hindsight. Zay Flowers looked solid, even though he didn't end up putting up that big of a game. It was still like that first half. He looked great. Isaiah Likely's emerging.
I think I would honestly, like, looking at that game too, I'd be happy to own Samaje P right now too, because it looks like they're kind of slowly working him in, but I could see that becoming a thing. Like he came in for a lot of the passing work, and he looked pretty good. So
yeah, it was his first game. He had I think 3 targets and 2 receptions or something like that. He really didn't get that much work, but He just got to the team.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. Everyone was hoping with Jerick McKinnon being shipped out that it was going to put Pacheco like up into that elite range, getting the passing work too. But then they went and grabbed P. Ryan. So yeah, we'll see how that all plays out. I snagged P. Ryan just because I want to see what happens here. It's not like someone I'm hoping I can throw in the flex each week, but it's definitely a situational if Pacheco goes down. Although still, even if Pacheco goes down, I feel like they might have Carson Steele be the power back.
Yeah. He looks fast.
Yeah, he does.
Coming downhill, I was like, okay, this dude's got some juice behind him.
Yeah, got burst, and he's a big dude. So, yeah, I mean, it's week 1. We'll have to see how this all plays out, but let's get into tonight's game a little bit.
Let's do it.
Enjoy sports betting and daily fantasy? Well, Daily Grind is here to help you beat the books. They make premium DFS tools that do all the work for you, comparing lines across just about every platform, looking for discrepancies for you to take advantage of. Start off your research with their DFS Optimizer, a tool that finds all the best plays and rates them with their odds to hit indicator. Or if you'd rather have them make your entire slip for you, they have you covered with their AI slip generator. They'll even notify you when a new slip is available. Go to dgfantasy.com and use code BACKDOOR. They will give you 25% off your first subscription all the way up to a year if you want. That's dgfantasy.com, code BACKDOOR.
We'll just go ahead and do the breakdown of the week, but we'll start with tonight, which we're so excited for this game. Sao Paulo, Brazil, the Packers versus the Eagles. We got a 49-point over-under. Eagles favored by 2, and I still say Packers are going to win this thing. That's my prediction for tonight. Who do you think's you with me here, or you think the Eagles are going to get it done?
Yeah, I think it just depends. I think if the Eagles are able to control the game with Saquon, I think it's going to get a little tough. Their defense is not very good, so you got a gunslinger like Jordan Love who's very confident in passing the ball. So if he can get it rolling, you better look out because that dude will put up 31 on your head, no problem. So it's like, in my opinion, I think it just depends on the game script. I'm probably going to lean more towards the Eagles winning, as much as I hate to say that because I hate the Eagles with every ounce of my body. But yeah, I think the Eagles just have a really scary squad right now. They're favored by 2. I could see a close game. Hopefully we get a 49.5 over under. That would be amazing. I think that's going to be a super fun game if that is the case. Last night the odds makers literally nailed it right on the head. They got it exactly right. So
that was crazy.
Yeah,
47, and it looked, in like the second quarter, we were sitting there saying like, well, so much for that. People should have taken the under, and then they just nailed it. That was very impressive. But
yeah,
but yeah,
I think Eagles. I'm gonna go with the Eagles by 3, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I think the Packers are going to get it done. But at the same time, I see why this is such a close spread because I'm so excited to see what the Eagles look like with Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, super excited for this matchup. Let's get into the Sunday slate.
Let's do it.
We've got a lot of games at 1 o'clock. What did I say? There was like 7 games or 8 games.
Yeah, it's quite a bit.
At 1. But let's break them down real quick. We've got my Arizona Cardinals versus the Buffalo Bills out in Buffalo. 48-point over under. Buffalo favored by 6.5. This is, I'm probably going to say this about every game, but I just can't wait to see. I kind of have a little bit of an idea of what the Cardinals are going to look like. I think a little bit better than last year. Obviously, they got Marvin Harrison Jr. now. But I kind of know what it's vaguely going to look like because of Drew Petzing, who I'm such a huge fan of. I hope he doesn't take a head coaching job next year, our offensive coordinator. But I think this will be a good week 1 test for the Cardinals. For the Bills, I just really want to see what this offense looks like now.
Yeah.
With Diggs leaving and Gabe Davis leaving, and I don't know. I'm sure the Bills will figure it out, but this shouldn't be too tough of a matchup for the Bills in week 1.
Right.
So I get the spread there. And then we've got the Patriots versus the Bengals. 41-point over under. Bengals favored by 8.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a rough first 4 weeks for the Patriots, and if they can get it figured out, then they will after that. But I don't see the Patriots being anything crazy this year. I think you're gonna see some exciting fantasy implications with them, with Jalen Polk, but I don't see them winning too many games this year.
Yeah, all that being said, a little bit of news. We've got Jamar Chase game time decision. I think that's contract related.
Yeah.
And then we've got T. Higgins now, game time decision, got injured in practice. So that could hobble them a little bit,
Yeah,
so
it's all crumbling down for them right now.
Yeah, man, you hate to see it, like teams with so much talent that they just can't get the details worked out.
Yeah.
It's like we're waiting for the Bengals to just turn into what I'm sure their fans are expecting. But moving on, we got the Carolina Panthers at the New Orleans Saints, 41.5 over under, Saints favored by 4.
I think that's going to be a fun game. That's always, I think those are always like, whenever they match up against each other, it's always kind of fun. We got Alvin Kamara, kind of fully into the groove of things now, and I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think the Saints will get it done. Obviously, they're going against a young quarterback. They've got some savvy vets on the side of New Orleans, and their defense looks kind of tough up front still. New Orleans, I mean, not too many changes there, but yeah, I think the Saints will get it done there.
Yeah, I think so too. It'll be. I'm really curious to see how Bryce Young looks with Dave Canales.
Yeah.
And Deontay Johnson, Xavier Legette. Like, it's going to be. I'm excited for every game here, but this one is kind of like not anything too exciting in my opinion. Jaguars Dolphins. This one should be a heater. 49 over under. Dolphins favored by 3.5. I'm super excited to see how they utilize Brian Thomas Jr. We're all so hyped on that dude, and I hope that he just jumps right into like heavy usage, like at least 70% of snaps would be awesome.
I think this is going to be the game of the week. Honestly, this Jags and Dolphins game. I think that's going to be a crazy shootout.
It very well could be, and Mike McDaniel, we're always singing his praises, but man, we need more coaches like that just develop this absolutely electric offense. So very excited for that game. Houston Texans versus Indianapolis Colts, 48.5 over under. Texans favored by 3. This is closer spread than I was expecting. I'm so excited to see. I need to see Anthony Richardson be the truth. Yeah. And I'm a little nervous as an Anthony Richardson owner because I was super confident all off season. And then I don't know, like the tone just kind of changed over the last couple of weeks. People are kind of like, let's see, like there's still concerns about his accuracy as a passer. But I also have Jonathan Taylor, so I can't wait to see that RPO. And I feel comfortable, just in the fact that like my team should get 100% of the rushing touchdowns, I would think.
Right.
But yeah, and then obviously Stephon Diggs, we'll see how they spread the ball out. We know some Stephon Diggs truthers, not going to name any names, but I'm personally of the opinion that, if I'm a Nico Collins owner, if I'm a Tank Dell owner, I'm not particularly concerned about Stephon Diggs. But I could totally be wrong. Stephon Diggs absolutely has the talent. And it's more of a chemistry thing for me. But I also think that CJ Stroud just loves Tank Dell, and I absolutely believe in Nico Collins as just an absolute stud. I think he's going to break out this year, but should be an exciting game for sure. And I think the Texans' defense is a little underrated, personally.
Yeah, they got a defensive-minded head coach, so you'd think they'd get it steered in the right direction. They were really, really young last year, too. The fact that they did what they did was crazy.
Yeah, and then does CJ Stroud, there's also the chance that, that CJ Stroud had sort of a Cinderella year last year.
Yeah.
And I mean, no one's really talking about what if he comes out and he doesn't look like his old self? I'm not counting on that. I'm a big fan, but that is in the range of outcomes where it's
absolutely,
the Texans just don't look like they did last year. All right, so we got Titans versus Bears, 44.5 over under. Bears favored by 4. Super excited to see how this Bears offense looks. Their defense is pretty stout now.
Yep.
And I'm also more of a believer in Will Levis than it seems like a lot of people are. I think that this Titans offense could be a little bit surprising with Pollard and Spears, and then I think Calvin Ridley's going to eat this year.
For sure.
But all right, Steelers versus Falcons, 42 point over under. Falcons favored by 3.5.
I think the Steelers win that game.
Whoa, that is a bold take.
I just think they've got way more of an identity in their offense right now. I think the Falcons are going to be very, it's a new coaching staff. They got a new quarterback coming in. They've got, I think the Falcons will probably end the year better than the Steelers, but I think the Steelers are going to control the clock with the run game, and I just think the Steelers are going to get that win personally.
You heard it first, folks. I completely disagree. I think the Falcons are going to stomp them personally. We got that new offense that is from the Sean McVay tree. I think it all comes down to Kirk Cousins' health, but if for some reason something catastrophic happened, they do have like a competent rookie who could get in there. But I think this is going to be what the Falcons needed, and also we've got Russell Wilson has been dealing with some sort of something, like a little bit of an injury last minute.
Yeah, so like some calf tightness or something.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. This is one of those games that I'm going to be watching very closely as the Bijan owner as well. Yeah. I really want to see how they implement Bijan. We do have Kyle Pitts. I think he's cleared now, but he had like a little hamstring thing going on. But I can't wait to see this Falcons offense. All right. Vikings versus Giants, 41 point over under. Vikings favored by 2.
Man, they're really harsh on the Vikings.
What, you think the Vikings should be favored by more than 2?
I think so. I don't think the Giants got it figured out yet. I think they're going to be okay. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm a Daniel Jones, not truther, but I believe in his ability. I think people are way too hard on Daniel Jones. There's quarterbacks who do way worse than him. But, like the disrespect he gets is just because it's a big team, big name. But I think if he just gets it figured out and he can just replicate what he's done in the past, he's perfectly fine. Like there's nothing, you're not going to find much better than him when he's on. He's a good decision maker. He just makes like inept plays sometimes with like I guess decision maker isn't the good one to go with. He's got the athletic ability for sure. He's a great runner too. So I don't know. I've seen enough from Daniel Jones where I'm like, I see it. I can see where he could be really good, but we'll just see if he can put it together. But yeah, I think the Vikings, like they've got some exciting things. I think Aaron Jones is being highly underrated right now too. I think they're going to be able to really put it together.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I believe in the Vikings coach. And I think Sam Darnold he feels like a glorified backup.
Yeah.
But I think that with what we saw the Vikings doing last year with the quarterback carousel after Cousins went down, I believe that coaching staff knows how to get the most out of their quarterbacks and still scheme their guys up right.
Right.
So we still have Jordan Addison dealing with a little bit of an injury when he took that fall in practice. We're going to be monitoring that closely. But Justin Jefferson is just quarterback proof. And so, yeah, I think this will be a fun one. I'm kind of just like, I don't know which way to go on Aaron Jones. I think for the start of the season, when he's fresh, he should be good to go. So, yeah, another one that'll be exciting to see. And let's see what Malik Neighbors' target share looks like. Is he, because everyone's talking like he's going to get a 30% target share, close to that. And I could see that. I could also see like, what if the Giants come out and they just look bad still?
Yeah.
So Broncos, Seahawks, 41.5 over under. Seahawks favored by 6. Sounds about right. I definitely am excited to see if JSN gets more usage. I think that this offense is going to look way better with Ryan Grubb. Their defense is also pretty solid this year. Sort of middle of the road, but I think it's definitely upgraded. I like I said, I'm going to be saying this about every game, but I am excited to see this too. This 405 game. I just want to see how everything looks for the Broncos with Bo Nix. And I don't know, I guess not a whole lot to be excited about on the Broncos side, but yeah, we can move on. We got Raiders versus Chargers. Excuse me. 40-point over under. Chargers favored by 3. Anything exciting about this that you're looking forward to checking out? Maybe J.K. Dobbins?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I was actually, I just traded Gus Edwards for Deontay Johnson in a first. And mind you, I was the champion. So my first is like a late round first. So, yeah, I'm counting it as like the first pick in the second round kind of thing. But I just think Gus Edwards is probably going to be the touchdown guy. Honestly, I think J.K. Dobbins is going to get a lot of the downfield work, and I think Gus he's a bigger guy. He looks smaller, but he's a big dude, so I think he's going to be the one eating up most of the touchdowns. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what to say. I mean, I think the Raiders, Zamir White's interesting. Obviously we have the whole Devontae Adams saga. We'll see how that plays out, but I'm not really. That's probably one I'm not going to be watching too much tomorrow, to be honest.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they use Brock Bowers too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Is he just going to get a heavy workload? Everyone's talking. They're calling him the best tight end prospect of all time.
Okay.
So you're hearing guys talk, like analysts say, like he's not a tight end, he's a weapon. So I'm very excited to see how that works out. And yeah, as far as the Chargers go, it'll be fun to see what that backfield looks like.
Yeah.
And
obviously Harbaugh, him being there is fun.
Yeah, and then I'm curious to see how much usage Ladd McConkey gets. Other than that, yeah, we'll keep moving. Cowboys versus Browns, 41-point over under, 2.5-point favorites to the Browns.
Oh,
how's that sound, Jordan?
What? I don't get it. I mean, people are like tripping on
it's in Cleveland. Maybe that's why they gave them the edge.
Yeah, I don't understand. People are tripping on the Cowboys. They've always done great against running quarterbacks too. So Deshaun Watson, I'm not even worried about him being a problem. I don't know. I don't know where I know our backfield's in shambles, but I think we've got one of the craziest wide receiver cores in the league right now with CeeDee Lamb, and Brandon Cooks is still very capable. We got a young prospect in Tolbert who I'm really excited about. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I think Dak is, he's playing for a big contract, obviously, too. I think they're close to getting that worked out. So I don't know. I think it's going to be fireworks for the Cowboys this year, whether or not we make it far into the playoffs like every year. I don't know, but I think game one in Cleveland I'm not too worried about, but maybe the odds makers know something I don't.
It's also the best rated defense in the league, I believe. Yeah. Maybe not. I think that's Hayden Winks. I'm going to be quoting him a lot because the dude's just like my favorite, but he's super high on the Browns defense this year. Yeah, you said best wide receiver core. I have to disagree again.
Well, I don't see I said one of the best. I don't think they're the best, but yeah, I think they're definitely up there.
Yeah, best wide receiver. I think CeeDee Lamb might be the best.
That's not even for sure. Question. I think him and Tyreek are like one and the same. But their game's different. Tyreek's speed. When that speed falls off, CeeDee Lamb's gonna be better.
When he's like 40.
Yeah, right.
All right, we got Commanders, Buccaneers, 43.5 over under. Bucks favored by 3.5. I know we're excited about this game. Want to see what Jaden Daniels looks like. I mean, is Terry McLaurin going to have a bounce back year? We got Cliff Kingsbury calling plays out there this year, so it should be a faster paced offense. They've been talking about doing a lot of no huddle. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm excited for all these games, but I do think that this is going to be a good test for Jaden Daniels because Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers defense are just like salivating at the idea of just dominating a rookie.
Yeah, so I think that's what it's going to be. I think week one, I think Jaden Daniels is going to have a very tough time. If he shows up against this defense, there's going to be a really bright future ahead of him. But I think week one, is it in Tampa?
Yeah.
So you're going into Tampa Bay as a rookie against Todd Bowles. You got Baker Mayfield and a young, exciting offense. Well, not very young, but you've got, a very savvy group of guys on offense. Like I think Mike Evans and Baker are going to go nuclear tomorrow or Sunday. I think that's just going to be a nightmare situation, but I think it's going to go uphill for Washington from there. I think it's a very tough game. I think the NFL threw a just bowling ball into the mix for Washington, but I think it's going to get better from there on, but yeah, I think it's going to be a wash.
If Jaden Daniels doesn't look great in game 1, week 1 against the Bucks, it's not like you need to be nervous about Jaden Daniels.
No,
if
no.
he does great, however, that's going to be like, oh my God, this kid is probably the truth.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And then we got this awesome Sunday night game. The Rams versus Lions, 50.5 over under. Lions favored by 3.5. There's just so much fantasy gold to be had in this game. Yeah. Super excited about this. And Tim Patrick just signed with the Lions. So that's not anything too exciting, but he does, if he's healthy, he seems like a good, like character wise, like that's a good fit for him. Dude's super gritty. But yeah, I mean, all of the studs on the Lions that you have, or that are there to be had, you guys probably already have rostered. I'm curious to see how Jamison Williams looks. There's been so much hype about him, and I believe in his talent, but I just don't know that I see a lot of opportunity in that offense with the way it's set up with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta. And then Jahmyr Gibbs. But yeah, that's going to be a fun one to watch at night for sure. And then I think Cooper Kupp's going to eat. I think
that's where I'm feeling. I feel like the Cooper Kupp disrespect's been wild. We were talking about this in the last episode, but I'm like, where his ADP is crazy to me. I'm like, he's only missed like what 2 seasons and like worth of injury, and it's like, I don't know. I understand the concern, but I'm like, Christian McCaffrey falls into that same category for me, where it's like he can get injured at any time, but are you going to not draft him because of it? No. Like, he's still going 1 or 2 overall. So
yeah, and they were just humming in the back half of that season last year on offense. So yeah, Kyren, Puka, should be interesting. And I'm super curious how much usage Colby Parkinson gets while Tyler Higbee's out.
Yeah.
And then we got the Monday night slate, Jets 49ers. That should be another exciting game. 43.5 point over under. Niners favored by 4.5. And this is going to be fun because we also have this history with Rodgers and the Niners where they passed him up. His hometown. He's from Chico, California. So he always wanted to be a 49er, and they passed him up, and he told them they would regret it. And he was right. Dude is a Hall of Famer.
I'm so nervous for that game. I almost don't even want to see Rodgers get hit ever in that game. I'm like, don't let him get hurt again in a primetime game. Just protect him, please. Like, it is such a weird feeling going into the, it's like, why did they book him for another primetime game? It was just criminal, but hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, if he's healthy, this is going to be a fun year for the Jets.
Yeah,
if he can stay healthy. All right, let's get into DraftKings.
Let's talk about why you should be using Chalkboard, the daily fantasy platform that runs specials every day of the week. Build plays for as low as $1 and enjoy the wide variety of alt lines. The higher the line, the higher the payout. It's that simple. Once you've made your picks, you can go whole hog with their max cash option or insure yourself with their shield play option. Download Chalkboard on your Apple or Android device and use code BACKDOOR for a 100% deposit match.
All right, so you want me to go first, or you want to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So at my quarterback position, I've got Josh Allen for 8,000. I just kind of the build that I went with was able to allow me to put most of my budget into the quarterback position, but I just love this matchup against the Cardinals. And so that's where the majority of my budget went. But in Buffalo, I just, I went ahead and decided to go with a quarterback that I know has got a strong floor and a really high ceiling. And then I also have a little stack here with James Cook as my first running back at 6,900. 32nd ranked run defense. So I'm all over that. And then also full PPR on DraftKings. So I'm thinking with the vacated targets, with the, Diggs and Gabe Davis leaving, a lot of times, more often than not, those vacated targets end up, you see a bump at running backs who can catch the ball. James Cook's a great pass catcher. So I decided to stack him. And then my RB2 is going to be Kenneth Walker. Also love this matchup against Denver, 6,100. It's in Seattle. We got the new, more explosive Ryan Grubb offense. So super pumped about that. And then my first wide receiver, I had to go with your boy, Mike Evans.
Okay.
I just love that matchup. I think he's going to eat this week against Washington. I don't think their secondary is going to be able to handle the monster that is Mike Evans. And then, we were talking about the questionable tags for Diggs and Jamar Chase. So I had to go with Andre. I'm probably going to say this wrong, but I think it's Iosivas. I'm super hyped on this guy. I watched a lot of his tape. I tried to get him off the waiver wire, but another dude in our league snagged him before I could get to it. But they're all the hype is that he's going to be Tyler Boyd's replacement for now. And I think if Chase doesn't play, if Higgins doesn't play, that's where I'm, when we're building out these lineups, we always have some spots where we go really low budget on a sleeper who could pop off. And I think Andre could be that guy for the Bengals. And again, if something happens where because Higgins, they're saying is a game time decision, they're calling Chase a game time decision. So I think this could be his breakout week. Yeah. Because even Joe Burrow, when they were interviewing him, he was saying Andre's going to have a breakout year, to quote him exactly. So I'm like, okay. And this kid's fast, he's athletic, and he's a pretty big bodied receiver. So my last receiver is going to be Brian Thomas Jr., 4,700. I love this matchup against Miami. I think Miami's going to put up a ton of points, and the Jags are going to have to play fast pace, play catch up ball. We'll see how it goes because the Jags defense is a little underrated, but I think you're not going to stop Miami from putting up a ton of points. It's in Miami, and we're just we're so hyped on Brian Thomas Jr. So that's my third wide receiver. Then I got another stack at tight end. I'm going with Dalton Kincaid, another player who I believe is going to be seeing a huge bump from the vacated targets with the wide receivers going out. And we'll kind of see how Josh Allen spreads the ball with these new wide receivers. Who is anyone going to emerge as the one? I'm pretty confident that Dalton Kincaid, his snap share and his target percentage is going to be pretty locked in. And then at my flex, I'm going with Ladd McConkey because I picked my flex position last, and someone who has a lot of hype behind him. The team loves him. He's a great prospect, and there's a chance that he could week one be Justin Herbert's number one target. So full PPR. I love Ladd McConkey at 4,700. And then for my defense, I went ahead and went with the Seattle Seahawks at 3,400. Playing in Seattle against Bo Nix and the Broncos. I love this matchup. And like I was saying earlier, I think that the Seahawks defense is taking a little bit of a step up this year. So yeah, that's my full lineup.
Sweet.
What do you got, Jordy?
Yeah, so I mean we're kind of thinking the same way in some areas here. For my quarterback, I'm going with Baker Mayfield. This might be a surprise, but I just think this is going to be a fireworks week for the Buccaneers on the offensive side of things. This matchup is way, way too good for him. 32nd ranked defense and passing touchdowns allowed. I don't think that's going to change much. The guy they drafted for their cornerback is a very undersized cornerback, and that's kind of the consensus coming into this matchup is like the guy they're matching up on, Mike Evans, is very small, and it's kind of like that everywhere on the field for them. Their secondary is very undersized. So loving this matchup for Baker Mayfield. I think he's going to be in the 2 to 3 touchdown range, no problem. And we're getting 6-point touchdowns. So, I think that's just...
No, I thought you said it was 4.
Is it 4?
I think it's 4. Yeah, I think
okay.
DraftKings is 4.
Either way.
I wish it was 6.
Still like this matchup for Baker. I think it's just... he's going to be nickel and diamond this defense to death, and then I think him and Mike Evans are going to go nuts over the top. So loving that matchup for Baker. My first running back spot, I've got Alvin Kamara. Loving this matchup for Kamara against Carolina. Their rushing defense is awful. Nothing there has really changed for them in that category. We're coming into this matchup for him when it comes to rushing the ball. They're the 23rd worst defense in rushing yards allowed in general, and then 2, the running back, they're 30th. So Alvin Kamara coming in, he's kind of in that same spot where he's, an older veteran who's fighting for a bigger contract again. So I think he's going to absolutely eat against this defense week 1. Last time he played against them, he had a pretty solid performance. He had 57 rushing yards and a touchdown and a receiving touchdown. So I think he's got all the tools to get it done in that matchup. So going into that, I've got Kamara for my first. My second running back is going to be Kenneth Walker. I think he's got a fantastic matchup against Denver as well. Denver, we'll see how their identity looks. Obviously, I believe in my man Sean Payton. I think he'll get it figured out eventually. But I think their defense is going to kind of struggle against the run here. Kenneth Walker's got a stupid amount of hype coming into this year. You're talking about the 32nd worst rushing defense when it comes to rushing yards allowed. So I think Kenneth Walker's got a fantastic matchup coming into this game. So going with Kenneth Walker, my wide receiver is also going to be Mike Evans. I think the matchup's just too easy. I think that's, he's projected for 17.4 fantasy points in this game. I can see him easily going over that. I just think, I've already said it with the Baker spiel, but I think Mike Evans is in for a good time here. I've also got Brian Thomas Jr. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is going to have a crazy week 1. I think he looks like, in my eyes, the best receiver on the team. Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis. Kirk's a little bit older, but Gabe Davis is a young guy too. But I just think Brian Thomas does everything they do, but better. The dude is so young and fast, and his routes are so crispy, and he's got great hands. So I'm a huge Brian Thomas fan. So I'm going to be taking him. I think that matchup's just too much fun. For my second wide receiver, I'm going a little bit cheaper on the wide receivers because I believe in these guys' capability. Like Brian Thomas is only 4,700. I'm going with the guy who's only 5,100 here. I'm going with Khalil Shakir. I think he's going to be a big factor for the Buffalo Bills. I know a lot of people think Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman is 5,000 and Khalil Shakir is 5,100. So take who you want there. I think Shakir's just a little bit more secure. I think he's, been there just a little bit longer, so he's probably got more of a connection going. That's just my take on it. So I'm going with Shakir there. I think he's going to be good for some, receptions, and it's full PPR. So liking what I'm seeing there. And I'm going more expensive on the tight end side. I'm going with Evan Ingram. I think that's just a really good matchup for him. I loved what I've seen from Evan Ingram last year. The dude had 143 targets for like 111 grabs or something like that. So I think game 1, I think, Trevor Lawrence is going to need to go to that security blanket in Evans. So hoping that one works out for me. I think that's, kind of what I'm feeling there. So going with Evan Ingram in that easy matchup for him. They're like 22nd ranked defense against tight ends too. So he's got a good matchup there. And then in my flex, I'm putting Javonte Williams in there. I think the Javonte Williams disrespect's been a little crazy. I think he's definitely the RB1 for the team. He's got a little bit of an easy matchup coming into this game too. Obviously Seattle is tough, but we're not talking about Pete Carroll anymore. We're talking about, some other pieces in there. So I just want to see it, but I like Javonte. He's got the pass catching upside in a full PPR matchup as well. So I like what I'm seeing there. So I'm taking him from my flex position at 5,500. And then for my defense, I'm taking the Buccaneers. I'm sorry, all you Jaden Daniels owners, but I think it's going to be a nightmare situation for him in week 1. I think he'll be fine, but I think that week 1 game is going to be really tough. And I think the Buccaneers will lock it down. So that's my lineup.
All right. Well, that covers our DraftKings lineups. We hope you guys have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning into the show. Make sure you subscribe and give us a like on the way out. And I think that covers everything.
I think so.
So yeah, guys, have a good weekend, and let's enjoy watching this packed slate on Sunday.
Good luck, guys.